Hello dear students. As we were trying to find out why Robert Frost was in a state of dilemma in choosing one out of the two paths, he could not make up his mind which path to choose as two roads diverged in a yellow wood. We all have understood by now that the two roads were not actually two roads, but the poet was at the crossroad in his life trying to decide which path he should choose that would lead him to success. The poet says that while he could not decide and it took him a lot of time to think which road to choose, he chose the second one as, according to him, it seemed to be fair as it was grassy and wanted wear. What does it mean? That it seemed as if not many people had trodden or walked on that path, or not many people had chosen that option. But when he moved a few steps further, he found that both the roads were same and there was no difference in between the two. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. The poet says that both the paths were similar that morning. Both the paths were similar. How do you think that both the paths were similar? See children, you can see that both the roads seem to be covered with yellow leaves and both the roads appear similar. There is no difference in between both the roads that we can see at the crossroad. And thus he says that both that morning he felt that the roads seemed to be same. Both had leaves on them and no one had stepped or walked on them. He decided that day that he would take one path and keep the other path for another day. Oh, I kept the first for another day. But here he says, yet knowing how way leads on to way, he says that he was much aware of the fact that once we start moving on a path, we have to keep on moving further and further. We cannot come back and start again. Similarly, as when we make a choice in our life, we have to move ahead on that path and try to make that path lead us to our aim and our destination. We cannot come back and start from the beginning. Similarly, even in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep on moving ahead and we never get a chance to come back and take the other option that we had left earlier. And thus he say, I doubted if I should ever come back, as he had already chosen the next path and the other one he left, thinking of trying it some other day, which he knew would never happen. next stanza, we can see that there is a single path and there is a bright ray of sunlight which is brightening the path. And what does the poet have to say over here? The poet says, I shall be telling that with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by. And that has made all the difference. Here, now when we can see that there is a single path which is brightened by the sunlight, we can say that perhaps the poet has found his way. And therefore he says that I shall be telling that with a sigh. What is a sigh? Sigh is a deep breath. A sigh like or a sigh like so sigh can be that of relief. Sigh can be that of sadness. Sigh can be that of excitement. So in future he would take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were two options for him, and he travelled on that road which was less travelled upon, which lesser people had chosen, the option which lesser people had chosen, perhaps, which had much more difficulty than the other path. But that decision of his decided his future. As in future, when we grow up, we reach our aim, our destination, then we say that once upon a time when I was young, I had two options, and the choice that I made me what I am today. This is a strong message for all of us that we should be wise enough and careful in our life in making our choices, because it is our decisions that we make at times that lead us to our final aim, or that shapes our life and our personality. It is because of the choice that Robert Frost made in his life of giving up his life of a farmer and moving ahead in his life, working hard, faced a lot of rejections, but finally he became a well-known poet, and he was regarded as the poet laureate, the poet of the poets in his country, America. So children, we have learnt a significant lesson from this poem of making wise choices and decisions in our life. Thank you so much.